Hey everybody, it's Dan with Pain for You. I want to show you this. This tree stump here is completely destroyed. It's shredded. And the other day I was looking out my back door and there was this really cool woodpecker. Had a red head of hair and it was probably about 8 inches tall or so, and it was just in there digging and shredding, and man, he must have had a good time getting in there and getting some of the bugs. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm loving the backyard and the nature and everything. It's almost like a zoo sometimes with some of the animals I get to see. So, today's video. I have been asked several times and told several times, Dan, you really need to do a video on this topic, which is the coronavirus. And I'm hoping I can do it justice. I'm not an expert in this stuff. I don't think anybody really is an expert. I don't think the talking heads on the TV stations are experts. I think they're pretty much just keeping eyeballs on the TV screen, and they're running the fear cycle 24 hours a day for anybody who's willing to watch. So the first thing I will just remind you is that stress reduces and suppresses the immune system. So, as TMSers and people with stress illnesses, it's really, really important to de-stress as much as possible, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But as far as this coronavirus goes, we're being told, social distancing. Don't gather with a lot of people if you don't have to. I was supposed to be leaving in an hour or so on a plane to Orlando for a workshop with 900 people. The workshop is still happening, surprisingly, but I chose not to go because it's not essential, and I just said I'd rather be smart and not take that risk. Howard Schubner had an event going on the end of this month up in Detroit. I was planning on going there. Well, he just canceled that event 2 days ago or yesterday. And so, simply put, if you've got an opportunity to gather with a whole bunch of people and you don't need to, don't, right? That's common sense. So minimize exposure to the outside world. That puts things more in your control. When you do go out into the world, common sense. Have some tissues or a napkin or a paper towel or something in your pocket, so when you go to open the door handle, you can grab it with the paper towel and then throw that away, right? Common sense. They say don't touch your face. Why? Because coronavirus goes in your nose and your mouth, and that's how it kind of gets into the respiratory system, and that's kind of how this stuff all happens. Wash your hands, folks. Wash your hands. These are common sense things that you're hearing all over the news, and I'm not telling you anything new. But if you're taking these precautions and you're minimizing your exposure to the outside world and not gathering with large groups of people, you're probably going to be just fine. The vast majority of people who get sick get better. And it's really only the respiratory compromised people who are at the most risk. For the most part, a reasonably healthy person's just going to get through it no problem. Not a big deal. So I don't really want to spend a lot of time on that because you can find out all that information online, on videos, on news reports and all that stuff. What I want to focus on this video is some common sense. I just talked about that, but common sense also is if you want your stress level to be low, you want to be prepared for what happens if something happens, right? So, for example, many of the countries have told people to stay home and kind of said shelter in place. And what does that look like? That means literally not leaving your house for potentially weeks on end. So what does that look like? Do you have enough food on hand for that? The water supplies are still going to run. Toilets and sinks and electricity, all that stuff's going to run. There's no problem there. You don't need to run out and buy a generator, for example. But do you have enough food to last you for a few weeks if you're told to stay home? And if you do, boy, does that really take some stress away, because you're not going to panic about, oh my God, what am I going to eat if I don't have more than a few days worth of food at home? So look, I'm not telling you to go out and panic buy and purchase, but next time you're at the grocery store, grab a few extra things. Do that the next few times you're at the grocery store and build up a little stock. And that absolutely will help you stress less. So that's common sense. You know, it's very possible, economically, and even supply chain, things are going to change, right? Amazon may not be delivering quite as quickly. A lot of our parts and materials and things that we get, and you know, a lot of that stuff is manufactured in China and comes from different places, and as the world kind of tightens up, access to stuff is going to be less readily available, and that's okay. You know, for me, I look around and I go, wow, I've got stacks and stacks of books I need to read. Maybe I should do that instead of going out somewhere or traveling or doing this or that. You know, I'm going to get this book written. And so I will encourage you to de-stress as much as possible. Start to look for things that you can do besides watching the television news all the time. Please, guys, get what bit of news you need to understand what's going on and what to do. After that, shut the damn TV off. Please do that, because that 24 news cycle is going to do nothing than scare the pants off you. And that doesn't help anybody, especially folks with these stress illnesses and TMS and that kind of stuff. So please turn the TV off. Also, stay off of Facebook. I don't know about you, but my news feed on Facebook, every other post seems to be talking about somebody's freak out reaction about coronavirus. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So we know if you're in the United States, it's starting to take hold here, and they're starting to take measures. My nephew's school will most likely close down starting Monday, half a day tomorrow. Montgomery County schools here in Pennsylvania just announced 2-week closure. And who knows, that 2 weeks could turn to 4 weeks. Well, what does that mean for the parents? It means somebody may have to stay home with the young kids. And so there's all sorts of disruptions that we're not used to. You know, we take everything for granted. And so things are going to be different for a little bit of time. And all I will suggest is relax. Don't panic. We'll get through this. Do a little preparation so you got some supplies on hand in case you got to stay home for a while. Stay out of large groups. When you do have to go out, bring some paper towels or tissues or something so that you can grab the door handles. Basic hygiene, you know, wipe down your car, your steering wheel, your gear shifters, and the door handles, that kind of stuff. Don't touch your face when you're out in public. If you need to, like, rub your face with your sleeve or whatever it may be. And invariably, you're probably not going to get it. The vast majority of people won't get it. And even those that do, the vast majority of them are going to get better. But unfortunately, looking around the world at the disruptions there have been in other countries where it's really taken hold, if that stuff starts happening here, just make sure you're ready for it. So here's where I'm going to switch to what can you do besides watch the news, because watching the news is going to freak you out. I know it freaks me out. I got to shut it off. You know, it just doesn't help me, and I know it won't help you if you're watching it more than you need to, because it's just repeating the same stuff over and over again, and the fear just builds and builds and builds. So please turn that off. Get what you need and turn it off. So what can we do instead? Remember when I say don't focus on your pain, don't focus on your TMS symptoms. Shift your focus to what you want. Focus on things that bring you joy, purpose, meaning. That stuff all still applies, even though we've got all this kind of craziness going on in the world, right? You're going to want to feel your emotions. If you're scared, allow yourself. Admit it. This is scary. Don't repress it. Don't push it away. Just allow yourself to be afraid. Feel the anxiety. It's okay. Anxiety is just another symptom of TMS. So feel the fear, feel the anxiety, feel the anger, the rage, whatever. And then soothe. Soothe, soothe, soothe. For most of us, soothing and bringing yourself a sense of peace and calm is going to be one of the most important things you can do as we figure this thing out together and go through this very trying time together, is to soothe. Those who remain calm remain logical. If you're in a panic, probably not a good way to spend your time. So again, turning off the news is useful, but soothe. So the same things I tell you to get out of TMS and to end your symptoms applies to responding to this whole coronavirus thing. Feel your emotions, soothe yourself a lot, and take the mindset that, okay, I'm gonna be fine. This, it's gonna be wild, but I'm resourceful and I know what's going on and I'm prepared to a degree, and we'll figure this out, right? It's gonna be an interesting ride, for sure. So I'm not trying to downplay or minimize the fears. Fears are valid, but at the same time, panicking never helped anybody. Just like I say, I never met anybody who got better by freaking out about their pain. I don't think anybody's going to get through this whole coronavirus thing, wherever it takes us, by freaking out and panicking either. So just think rationally. What do I need to do to take some basic preparations, some food, some water, toilet paper? You've already heard the stories about that. I don't know why. This is not a type of an illness that makes you shit, so God knows why the toilet paper was the first thing to sell out. But it seems to have been. I was at Costco today and there was literally no toilet paper in Costco, which usually has aisles worth. So bizarre, but who knows. Anyway, some basic preparation, some basic common sense as far as sanitization and minimizing your exposure to groups and crowds. And if you are friendly with people who are exposing themselves to groups and crowds, you may not want to hang out with them too much, right? I'm not saying become a hermit, but my sister and I just had a conversation today about my mom. She lives by herself at home, and my sister was saying, well, should I invite her to stay with us? And I said no, because my sister works at a school, all the kids, her son goes to high school, lots of kids, her husband goes to work, lots of people, her other son goes to an office to work, lots of people. So my mom is much safer as far as exposure goes at home by herself. And I've already made the offer to say, hey, Mom, if you don't want to be by yourself, I'll come get you, bring you here. And then she can kind of come out in the backyard and enjoy the birds and the squirrels with me. And because I work at home, my exposure is very limited. So take some common sense steps to minimize exposure, proper sanitation, stock up on a little bit of extra stuff. So if you're told stay home for a few weeks, you're going to be okay. And that's it. We're going to ride this out. And as far as what do? Shift your focus away from the news and the panic and the fear-mongering that's really going on TV. They're getting the eyeballs for sure. And they're just going to keep on pumping out that fear over and over and over again. Not because the fear makes you safe, it's because it drives advertising dollars for the televisions. So get what you need, turn it off. You do not need to watch coronavirus news 10 hours a day. That'll just freak you the hell out. So please, listen to me there, turn it down. Shift your focus to something else that'll bring you joy, peace. It's starting to get warmer here in the States. Get outside, take a walk. Sit in the sun. Read a book, Get off of the computer. I'm going to really take advantage if things really quiet down. I'm going to take advantage and read a lot of these books I've got sitting on my dresser that I need to read. I'm going to write my book. I'm going to take the downtime that I know I'll have by not going out quite as much and get that book written, right? I'm going to keep on shooting these videos and posting them. And probably not going to talk about coronavirus too much because I'm not sure that is useful beyond what I've just shared in this video. So, what do you guys think? My goal here was not to scare anybody, but just say common sense. Take some, make some preparations, proper sanitization, minimize exposure to vast numbers of people, and you're going to be fine. So, if you got any comments, if you found this helpful, great. If you found it not so helpful and scary, my apologies. That wasn't the intent. So anyway, I love you guys and gals. I appreciate you, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.